All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the special session on soap tips and tricks. We have Dr. Karna Rajkumar, who successfully matched in soap last year. So she's a super user, and she has had other friends also do it. So she knows quite a bit about soap. And our idea is not to give you the NRMP process in detail. For that, you can check the NRMP website and their videos. The idea here is what you should actually do as an IMG to maximize your chances in SOAP. And having said that, let me just quickly turn it over to her, and she'll introduce herself, and then we'll get into the session. So over to you, Karuna.
Hi, everybody. My name is Karuna, and I was lucky enough to match into preliminary surgery position in SOAP last year. I had initially not applied to any residency positions at all because I was doing research and I was looking to improve my CV. But I did apply through SOAP, and I did get a position. So even though it was hard, I just wanted to let you all know that it is not impossible if you know how to navigate the SOAP process. And with a little knowledge, I think each of us with good scores and CV should be able to match through SOAP, even though we are IMGs, and the preference is predominantly for AMGs. We can still do it. So I'm here to answer some few basic questions about SOAP and, the common questions, the anxiety that most students have when they don't match, and I'm doing my best to help you all to get through this difficult process and to survive SOAP.
Thank you very much, Karna. So let's start with the basics. Talk to us about what exactly is SOAP, who's eligible, and then we'll probably go into the schedule. And there's a typo here. It should be SOAP. So,
yeah, that's all. Okay. So what exactly is SOAP? SOAP is the post-match scramble. It's the offer and acceptance program. I know that, I was in a similar position as well. Most of us don't want to think about SOAP. We just want to match. Good luck to you all. I hope everybody matches. But, things do happen. Even with great scores, great CV, more than 13 interviews, people do go unmatched. And if you just keep your cool and apply through SOAP, you have, if your CV is good enough, you have quite a good probability of matching in SOAP, IMG or not IMG. So that's the thing. NRMP has this program. It's called the post-match scramble. And I think last year there were almost 553 programs which went unmatched. And there were a lot of positions available on SOAP. Some programs choose to participate in SOAP. Some do not participate in SOAP. And if NRMP calls you eligible to participate in SOAP, you can only apply to these programs which participate in SOAP. So I think it was almost 450 programs out of 553 which decided to participate in SOAP. So who is eligible for SOAP? I think on the Friday before the match week, everybody will get an email saying that you're eligible to participate in SOAP. And I'm sure that there'll be a lot of questions on the groups and everywhere, people freaking out that if I'm eligible for SOAP, does that mean that I did not match? No, it does not mean that you did not match. It just means that you're eligible to participate in SOAP. You might as well have matched and do not have to participate in SOAP. So having said that, who's eligible for SOAP, again, would be most of us who have applied this year, who have taken the ERAS token and the NRMP token and the NRMP ID. They will all be eligible to participate in SOAP. And there might be a very few discrepancies, like less than 1%, who have participated in the match last year and violated NRMP rules. Then NRMP blacklists them, and they will not be eligible to participate either in the main match or the SOAP either. But they would have received an email earlier that NRMP has blacklisted them, and it's usually for 2 years. So NRMP takes rules very seriously, so do not violate any NRMP rules at all. We'll get to basic rules later on at the end of this short session.
Yeah. So before we get into the schedule, just from what I heard from you, it is essential to register with NRMP, and it is essential to take the ERAS token. Even if you have no interviews, nothing, these two things need to be done before you are eligible for SOAP.
Yes.
Right? Even if you don't have any interviews.
Even if you don't have any interviews, for you to, like, I did not apply at all. I applied very late. Basically, I applied in December and only to UT because I was doing research there. And my plan was to apply the next year because I wanted to improve my CV. I started my research on J1 visa. It took time, so I started in November. So my CV was not any different for anesthesia. But I had 4 months of research experience by then, so I thought I'll apply for SOAP, and I did get in. So even if you have not applied, if you have applied to 0 programs, 0 interviews, you do have to have the ERAS token and the NRMP token. And if you have not applied this year, if you pass the deadlines, I think NRMP charges you $50 extra if you have to apply now. I would advise that maybe you got your scores late or something like that. But if you have good scores, like 250s in step 1, then I suggest that you should definitely take the ERAS token and the NRMP ID as well, because you might have very good chances of matching in SOAP.
Even if you don't have good scores, I mean, there's no harm in taking a chance, right?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Good. Yeah. All right. Why don't you walk us quickly through this schedule, although it's available on the, NRMP site, but very quick highlights from there.
Yeah, although it's available on the NRMP site, what I've noticed the past couple of years is, especially among international graduates, because they don't see their seniors or anybody going through the SOAP process, which is very common with the American graduates. So the IMGs are not, first of all, they don't want to think about not matching, so they don't get themselves prepared for SOAP. And then on the day, they're just very depressed and they don't want to talk to anybody and they just give up. They don't think that they can match through SOAP. And the schedule itself is very hectic. So why I wanted, even though it's available on the website, why I wanted to put this on is because I want you all to be prepared for it. SOAP starts from 13th till 16th. 17th is when everybody knows that they match. And during this process, it's a grueling 3 days. People have ended up matching on the 16th as well. So if you're working, I suggest that you take off from work or do night calls, which is what I did. I just did night calls so that I could be free during the day to participate in SOAP. Because there are 3 rounds of 2 hours each, and then you get 1 hour break and the next round starts. And in the meantime, you're researching programs. You have to look up programs. You have to apply. So it's very grueling. So it starts on the 13th afternoon, where you get the list of unfilled programs, and you have the whole night to do your research. And so the next day, for the first round, you can apply only to 40 programs. So you have to apply wisely. Because the programs also have only 1 evening, so they do not have time to extensively look at your applications, and they're not going to look at all the applications. So it's kind of more like a first come first serve basis, So they look at one application, they like it, you'll probably get a phone call or a Skype call, and if they like you, then you'll probably get an offer the next day. So they might not look at 500, 600 applications. If your application is in the first 100, then you have a very good chance of getting in. So speed is the key here. So you have to apply wisely to these 40 programs for the first round. Then people who do not get offered in the first round, there's a 1 hour gap, and then the second round starts. Like programs have a preference list. So they might have a preference list of maybe 100, 200 candidates. And, for the first round, they'll offer it to 40. And those 40 do not, choose that program, then all the positions will come. Or maybe 20 gets filled, 20 do not get filled. So after the first round, you'll get a new list of programs wherein you'll know which programs filled during the first round and which went unfilled the second round. So you have to look at that, the unfilled programs, and you have to apply again and wait for the second round of offers. And on the third day, ERAS just opens all the programs to all the applicants. That is only SOAP eligible applicants, and you can apply to all the programs, whichever is available. But again, having said that, international graduates apply predominantly to internal medicine, but they just want to get a residency here. It can be internal medicine, it can be neurology, it can be preventive medicine, physical medicine, rehab, anything. So there are a whole variety of specialties out there. There is psychiatry. So if you have done psychiatry rotations, you have psychiatry letters of recommendation, especially through Americlerkships or something, they have like varied clinical experiences. So if you think that you have a good chance in any other specialty, especially something like neurology and psychiatry, I find that if you have shown some interest in the field and have good letters of recommendation in that field, then they do take you. They're more, less hesitant in taking international graduates compared to surgical programs. Like, for example, dermatology, radiology is not so very open to international graduates. So I would suggest that you all apply definitely. Even if your application has been very much focused on internal medicine, I think you should start preparing. If you have had interviews, 0 interviews, then try to prepare a different application for, personal statement, different letters of recommendation. Try to get it uploaded for neurology, pediatrics, psychiatry. Many pediatric programs go unfilled too. So have different letters of recommendation, different personal statements for different specialties, and again, how to choose these programs. So you have only 40 programs that you can
Karuna, before we get to that, and thank you, that's a good transition. I want to have something clarified for the students. So the CV, once you have certified, the IRAD application, the CV, that cannot change, or can it change now? Because the LORs and the statement of purpose, you can put in as many as you want. What about the application and the CV?
No,
can it change?
Yeah, sorry. So if you want to apply to pediatrics, then if you have do a short-term course on the pediatric advanced life support, or if you have not taken your ACLS or BLS, ACLS especially helps, ACLS, ATLS for somebody who wants to do surgical programs. So you can update your CV in terms of that. You can get these certifications and you can update your CV in terms of that. And
But the IRAS application cannot change.
No.
Right?
So ACLS, the certifications are there in the first page. That you can change any time and you can change that. But not the IRAS application.
Okay. And of course, you can get new LORs. You can get, you should be able to do as many statement of purpose as you want, right? So that's obviously, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now you were going to talk about, how to choose the programs to apply. So, you said there's a limit of 40 in the first round and all that stuff.
Yes. So I'll just clarify these questions as, preliminary versus advanced versus, categorical and result. So preliminary positions will be marked with a P. So you get a big page on errors where all the programs are listed, and then those will be the SOAP eligible programs, which will say, and there will be certain programs which say that they do not participate in SOAP. There will be very few of those. And then it will be marked P, C, A, and R. So I want you to understand this. So result for physicians is anybody who's done an intern year prior, either a surgical intern year or a medical intern year. If you've done a surgical intern year, you can apply to dermat, OBG, anesthesiology, and other surgical branches, radiology. If you have done a medicine intern year, you can apply to neurology, or, again, dermatology also takes, I think, not dermatology, sorry. You can apply to neurology. That's about it. Or, if they have any PGY2 positions available in medicine, in which case you can apply for those. So prelim versus advanced. So if you match into a prelim position, you can, in SOAP, you can try to match into an advanced position only. Like you can apply to advanced anesthesiology, advanced OBG, dermat or something. You cannot go back and apply to a categorical position because that's the NRMP contract. Once you match into preliminary position, you have to finish the intern year there.
Right.
You cannot apply to categorical and you cannot do 2 separate years in different programs. That's violating the NRMP rules.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And again, if you're matched into an advanced position, for example, one of my friends matched into an advanced anesthesiology position, but she did not get a prelim position. So in that case, you can apply widely to preliminary medicine and preliminary surgery, positions. And if you're fully unmatched, you can apply to any of these except the reserved for physicians, unless you've already done residency in another specialty or if you've done your intern year. So reserved for physicians basically you need at least 1 year of graduate medical training in the United States. Different for pediatrics and different for ophthalmology because they do count graduates from India who have, finished their residency. Then they can apply for the reserved for physicians because they don't need you to return do your intern year again.
Let's clarify this again because we do have, every year students who have home country residency, especially from India. So can you clarify this again, the last point?
Yeah, so to the best of my knowledge, only pediatrics and ophthalmology, and that is not all the programs, very few programs, some in the East Coast, and so, few programs down south, like very limited programs. It's not wide, it's not a wide and spread program. Residency already does not require you to repeat your intern year. So in which case you can
Ah,
apply for the reserved for physician position.
okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
So only then.
All
So
right.
if you do not have
Okay.
prior graduate medical training, then you cannot not apply for these positions at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
And yeah,
Yes.
sorry, how to choose the programs again. So you see
Right.
actually hundreds of positions available, especially in surgery. You might see 300 and I think last year there were 333 positions or something. Each university has like 20 positions open. You would think why somebody like Baylor goes completely unmatched, but that's kind of more like they do not want to take interns who they don't like, and also they prefer taking their own students who are not matched. So even if the American grads don't get into dermatology or competitive neurosurgery, other competitive specialties, then these positions are kind of reserved for them. Having said that, it's not a hard and fast rule. Maybe, for instance, if you're doing research at Baylor and they know you, you don't have to contact the program, but they see your application and then be like, hey, I know this person. And so they might decide to call you and take you. So that is one thing. Either you're doing research, observership, clerkship, whatever in that particular university and they've known you before, or if you've done it before and they've liked you and they see your application, then you might still get a call. But if you haven't, then I highly doubt that you would get calls from some places like Baylor, University of Texas, Rush. Every year they have preliminary positions available. All 20 will be unmatched, always in SOAP. And they all go like that. They go in like 5 seconds, they're gone. And they mostly take their own students because they know them. So that's having said that for the big programs. Now, how about smaller community programs? So what do these programs do? Again, like I said, they look at the first applications that they get, and also they look at the position. If there's a small community program offering only the intern year in medicine in Philadelphia, they look at your application, they see that your address is Philadelphia. There's a very high chance that you will get a call because they think that, okay, you're already in Philadelphia, you don't have to move. So you might probably just take you will accept their offer. It's a gamble for the programs too, because there are many programs who go completely unfilled even after SOAP, because they end up choosing the wrong applicants or, applicants with very good CVs, and these applicants can get more than 4 or 5 offers at the same time in SOAP. So they're going to choose the best program. So the programs can go unmatched as well. So they're going to pick and choose who they feel is going to, who's appealing to them, mostly geographically wise too. If they don't know you at all, then it's going to be location wise. So if you're in the East Coast, you haven't done any rotations anywhere, you have 0 interviews, no clinical experience, and if you're applying to SOAP, then I would suggest apply to your particular geographic location. So that narrows down, you can only apply to 40 programs, right? So that narrows down your list beautifully. So you can do that. So time is the key here, and you also have to think a little logically to where you can.
So just to summarize what you said, if you're an IMG and really you didn't get many interviews and all that, less clinical experience, don't get fascinated by the top university programs, Baylor and all that, even if they have one. Choose wisely, focus on smaller community programs probably in your geographic area where you can maximize your chances. Out of those 40, at least 30 to 35, you can focus on that. And then the remaining, probably if you want to take a chance of the big programs, why not, right?
Okay. Especially if you've done research or something there. For me, it was like that. I was doing research at UT, so they knew me and they took me. So that's how it worked. So if you have like clinical experience or something like that, then you have good chances of matching in that program. If not, then go for your wherever you're located.
Right.
So I think
we've been talking about these tips, of course. So before you get into more details, I do want to clarify the logistics piece. So a lot of IMGs, go back to their home countries, India, Pakistan, at the time of match in a month from now. So obviously they have to pull an all-nighter, I guess, for the next, for those 3-4 days. Should they also have a U.S. phone number? I'm assuming that is required, because they won't call international, right?
They
These
will
guys
not,
won't call it. Right. Okay. And what else? What are the other tips you've seen that can help?
So yeah, like I said, have a Skype ID. Most of the time they want to look at the person who they're interviewing, because they might speak to somebody different and end up getting somebody different. So in SOAP especially, where it's not possible for them to interview everybody. And yeah, sorry, another thing I forgot, like if you've already interviewed in a program and that program goes unfilled, then I would suggest apply to that program, because they know you from their interview experience at least.
That's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, because they can put a face to the person, and of course everybody wants to put a face to the person who they're taking for the residency. They don't want to take somebody unknown or creepy or whatever. So that's the thing. All right.
Yeah.
And then so have a Skype ID. Mostly they do video calls, but not all the time. But definitely a US phone number. They're not going to national. If they can't reach you, then they're going to look at the next application. It's It has to happen very fast. They're also pulling all-nighters, the PDs, associate PDs, and everybody. They have tons of applications, and it's a stressful situation for everybody. So one way to get a U.S. phone number, if you're already in U.S., you can register through and just have a U.S. phone number, but the call can be done, they can still call you. And if you have a working internet connection.
Skype also has a U.S. number. You can buy a U.S. number through Skype, right? I think the other challenge I've seen with a lot of IMGs is they don't set up their voicemail, which I always find very surprising. Maybe it's cultural, So if you don't have a voicemail, and if you cannot pick up for whatever reason, they're not going to, keep on trying you, right? So that's
definitely
another thing I've noticed people don't have.
Yeah. Or at least, if you send a voicemail, they might leave you a voicemail.
Right.
All of that, be accessible. The best thing to do would be to be in the United States, of course. If you cannot, then at least, at least get a U.S. phone number. And
yes. Hey, Karuna, I think we lost you. Okay, now you're back. Yeah.
Okay. So make sure you have working internet, good high-speed internet. You don't want to frustrate them with bad connection, So make sure you have all of that. And what else? Make sure you have backup. If internet crashes, something in India, there's always power outages and, all those things are going on. For those 3 days, make sure you have backup. And most importantly, all this has happened. And last year, my experience with SOAP was bad because Errors was having a lot of problems. The screen kept hanging up, and the ones who got to apply were the lucky ones. I would seriously use the word luck here because it worked only for some of them. The screen just kept hanging up, and we were not able to apply. So I actually had 3 friends sitting with me, logging into 3 different computers, and mine hung up. The 2 others hung up, and only one person's computer did not hang up. So I could hit the submit button there, So I don't think that'll be the case this year because Errors has been very, very apologetic about it, and they're having an outage on the 23rd to fix all these potential problems. But you never know, so be prepared.
Right.
Everybody might not be lucky enough to have 3 friends, well versed in the residency process, but at least try to have one person who's applied before, who knows how to navigate Errors. You can't completely take somebody from a different branch and have them sit with you. For emotional support, yes, but for this, you need somebody with a little knowledge about how to navigate Errors and SOAP, and who can guide you, preferably somebody who's older than you, who's done the residency process earlier, and if they can sit with you, then that will be great. But if not, then at least someone, seriously, in 2 different computers, because you have to Google program sometime, find out about the program. For example, another tip for IMGs in the East Coast, you can Google program, see that the program director is Indian. Go ahead and apply to that program. You might appeal to him. It happens.
Okay.
It happens because
and stay away. Don't do Googling on your phone and all, right? This is the time when you really need to be productive. So make sure you have a laptop or a desktop, right?
Yes, and you can't Google all the programs on your own. So since you can apply only to 40 programs, I would suggest, and again, you have to go and look at the IMG percentage of that program. You can, many Americans might not take up something like preventive medicine or, physical medicine and rehabilitation, but these are great residencies nevertheless, for IMGs too. So if you want to apply, you can apply. But if the program happens to be in North Dakota, they're not going to take an international graduate because they don't even have anybody from New York over there. Why would they take somebody from India? They're a very close community. They're going to take somebody from Midwest. But if you see a PM&R program in New York, then they have seen a lot of international faces, so they might take you. So you have to do your research about these programs. about the location of the program, about the IMG percentage, and a lot of research is involved, in that one day, which is why I keep telling that you need to have backup. You can't do it all on your own because you're already stressed out, you're anxious, and your mind is not thinking clearly. So it's best to have backup and somebody to help you, and be prepared. Be prepared for SOAP. It can happen to the best of us, going unmatched. So it's not a big deal. You can always apply next year, but try to do the best that you can this year with SOAP as well. Okay?
Excellent.
So,
now let's quickly go to the next, important thing. Let's say you get a call. They obviously want to quickly interview you, move on. What type of questions have you seen?
So I got a call, and the program director asked me where I was, first of all, and I said Houston. So that's a pointer, right? Definitely, because I'm already in Houston, and then I matched in Houston. And then he asked me, when was your last clinical experience? It was 4 months ago, because I was working in India then. So they want to know that, when was your last clinical experience? Because in a program like, especially preliminary medicine, preliminary surgery, you end up there, you're just thrown into the program, and you end up having to take call the very day. And it's a very, very busy program. They don't have time to babysit you. So you have to know your clinical, if you've been out of clinical experience for 2 years, then it's not going to help. So if you have not, then why don't you just go ahead? If you don't think that you have got a match this year, then why don't you just go ahead and do a clinical observership or externship this 1 month, do whatever. Clinical experience is always appreciated. Research, not so much, because that's not going to help somebody in preliminary surgery, right?
Correct.
And also because the working hours are very hard. So they want you to be prepared, to be ready, to be on your feet, lose some sleep and all this kind of thing, have stamina. So if you're sitting and doing bench research, you might not have that, you might be out of it for a while. So they look for hands-on clinical experience. So try to get something in this 1 month, because if you say, hey, I'm still doing an externship or something here, I'm having hands-on clinical experience right now, then, it looks great. So typically these are the questions, and then they might ask, what questions you have for me. So it's not a typical interview day. You're not going to ask them, how are you planning to improve the program's didactics, or what your future plans for the program. They're already stressed and anxious. You can't ask typical interview day questions. So unless you have a very genuine question to ask, like a doubt, ask them. If not, then be honest and tell, hey, I have a friend there who's doing residency in your program, so I know about this program already. Or, I live right here. I live in Philadelphia, and I've done my research about this program, and I'd love to match with you. I don't have any questions. You can be honest and say, I don't have any questions, and, they'll actually appreciate it. They'll appreciate a very straightforward question than you being, fake and trying to ask a question for the sake of it. So most of the interviews will be less than 5 minutes. It will not be more than 5 minutes. And it can be, like I said, over the phone or via Skype. And they want to know how soon you can get to the U.S. And for international graduates, they're going to ask about your visa status, how soon you can get a visa, or if you already have a visa. So that's another thing. And they'll ask, when are you planning to get back to the United States if you're not already in the United States? So these are some of the questions. That's all they want to know. They want,
And if it's a Skype one, even if it is for 5 minutes, I guess professional dressing is always helpful, right? You should not be in your night dress and things like that. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah.
If it's a Skype interview, it's not going to be random and out of the blue. They'll send you an email ahead and tell that they're going to do this, of course.
Right.
So they'll set up a time and everything. So be prepared, have one suit washed and pressed and all that, and be very prepared, like I said. You don't want to allow for internet outages and all those kind of things, because it happens a lot in India especially. U.S. might not be so much. It can happen here too. It can happen here too, but in India a lot more. Especially it's going to be summer, I think, so a lot of power outages and everything. So go to a place where they have backup.
Yeah. Get stationed somewhere. Don't plan for travels and all that. Those 3 days you should be stationed at a good place with good internet access, phone number, all those kind of things, right? Don't be on a train station or at an airport.
Exactly. And if you're working or doing residency there, try to
take
get
day off.
3 days off.
Take it off. Good.
Take a day off, yes.
Yeah. So then very quickly, I know NRMP has a whole list of rules, but what are your rules that really IMGs need to take care of, they should not violate? These are the golden rules. What are some of those?
Yeah, so some of the golden rules, why I'm emphasizing on this is I've had a couple of friends in a tight spot who contacted the programs against the rules and they've been blacklisted and cannot apply for 2 years. So, being IMGs, I understand they're very anxious. You've invested a lot of money, lot of time, you've taken loans. You just want to match, you don't want to let down your family and friends. So it's a very anxious, stressful moment. But do not ever make the mistake of contacting the program. You might have done an observership there and you might know, an assistant professor, or you might know the PD itself, but you cannot contact them because anybody can report you that you have contacted the program. It might not be the same person, but if somebody else gets to know, then they will report you, and NRMP takes it very, very strictly. And then you can't apply for 2 years, so all your effort is wasted. Instead, you can, just improve your CV for the next 4 or 5 months and apply again next year. Nothing is lost. You are always gaining knowledge and more experience. So that's the number one thing. Do not contact programs. And you see, for the ones who are SOAP ineligible, they can apply to the programs not participating in SOAP. So you can either get the list of NRMP by registering for NRMP, or somebody who's SOAP eligible can give you the list of the programs. You can either do it that way. So that's the thing. This is a little confusing. So the ones who are SOAP eligible.
Programs? Yeah.
So the programs can opt. It's not a hard and fast rule. They can either opt to participate in SOAP or they can opt out of SOAP. I would say 90%, not even 90, 80% participate in SOAP and 20 might not. They decide to fill their own positions. So if you are SOAP eligible, then you can apply only to the programs participating in SOAP. You cannot apply to the programs not participating in SOAP. During these 3 days, you cannot contact the programs even then during these 3 days. You cannot contact any program. Yes. Even if they're not participating in SOAP. But the ones who are not SOAP eligible, they can contact the programs not participating in SOAP. And that can be through phone, email. You can show up at their office, whatever. You can contact them.
Okay, but for a practical purpose, 90 to 95% of IMGs will be SOAP eligible, they're the traditional route and all that. So, that's a good exception, but likely not for most IMGs.
Yes, like I said, for the ones who have decided not to take the arrest token and, who have not registered for NRMP, then they can.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Very good. Karuna, any other closing thoughts? This was very useful. Any other?
Mostly this was for, those applying to internal medicine, but there are so many other programs out there. So, for example, integrated vascular surgery or something like that. So for somebody who's done maybe a vascular surgery residency in India and want to apply for the residency here, they might not participate in SOAP. So you might not have an arrest token, you might not have an NRMP token, but you can still contact these programs and see if they want to take you. So this is for the lesser known specialties to IMGs especially, but there are many of them out there who have done surgical residencies in India and want to apply here. So this is just a tip for them. And again, what after SOAP? So SOAP is not again the end of everything. Like I said, MAC is not the end of everything. SOAP is not the end. There are many programs who go unfilled in SOAP, and there are many programs who do not participate in SOAP. So on 17th, you can virtually contact all these programs. And trust me, there are a lot of them. There are a lot. Especially for anesthesiology, there were a lot. Even for internal medicine, there were a few. So you can contact these programs now. You can call them, email them. If you happen to live in the same city, you can set up an appointment with the PD. You can do all of those things, contact them and go, you can show up and express your interest and all that. So that you can do. And also I've noticed if you're not in a geographically close location and if you want to contact these programs, the program coordinators still ask you to send your applications through ERIS, So if you have not applied at all, 0 interviews or whatever, decided not to take an ERIS token this year, but you still want to give it a chance, then I would suggest take an ERIS token and get the documents uploaded.
So what you're saying is after 17th, when the list is published of all programs, these are the unfulfilled positions, SOAP ends, match ends, even then you should be very proactive, look at that list. The unmatched programs, unfilled programs, and just do do your best and get in touch with the programs, because then you are allowed to get in touch with the programs
Yes.
either through the coordinator, program director, otherwise, right?
Yes, yes. That's the thing. For IMGs, it's a very hard situation, I can imagine, just because a lot of money is involved for us and time and everything. So they just tend to give up. But there are many of these positions who end up, not getting matched at all for the entire year, and they go into the match next year. So these positions are virtually unfilled. So there are many out there. And don't look at only internal medicine. Look at other specialties, family medicine, especially if you have a green card or if you're already in the United States, if you have an H4 EAD for the present at least. I would think that family medicine programs will definitely take you, because they also go very unmatched, especially in a little more remote locations where American graduates do not want to go. So look at all the specialties, look at geographic locations, look at their IMG percentage, all of that. Get somebody to help, somebody's help to do your research, and hopefully everybody will match this year.
All right.
Either through
Very
SOAP
good,
or
Karuna.
through the match. Yes.
Yeah, this was very, very useful. I hope students can take some benefit out of it, but thank you for taking time out. I appreciate it, doing it for everyone. So thanks, and all the best.
Thank you. And all the best to everybody too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.